What's up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to the Apex Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Danny Rodriguez, and I'm here with,
Your co-host Tonio.
and today we are going to talk about how to apply for a credit card. It's going to add to our credit series that we have currently running on the channel. So, most individuals always have a question of how do I apply for a credit card?
Yes, indeed. And in continuation of this credit score, basically tutorial, like Danny said, we're gonna get in depths of how to apply for that credit card that you or your spouse or somebody you know mostly desires to have in their wallet to leverage what you got. And that's the key. Leverage everything that you got.
Leverage everything. I used to have a
Yes.
shirt that said leverage everything.
Yeah, I remember.
I gotta make me a new one.
I
So,
got you. We got the hookup.
oh yeah, that's right,
We
that's
got the
right, that's
hookup.
right, that's right. We'll give a plug in a little bit. So, nowadays a lot of folks are applying for credit cards, and for if you're a first time person that has never applied for a credit card, the one of the questions is like, how do I apply for a credit card? Like, which credit card, right? So
Correct.
I always tell people like, if you're looking for a credit card, one, you got to have a credit profile established. If
Yep.
you have zero credit, you're more than likely going to need to go for a secure credit card. But if you watch our previous video on authorized user, get
Indeed.
an authorized user, get it on your credit report, get your credit report established, get that score, and then apply for your own,
And
right?
then we also touch base on one of the episodes, the pie chart. It tells you
Oh,
how to
yeah, the
break
credit pie
how
chart,
credit
right?
cards are break down, how your credit
Correct,
is break down. I mean,
correct, correct.
so that's definitely if you guys are watching this now, make sure to get a better understanding on how your credit is actually what's the word I'm looking for? How it's divided,
Right. How
right?
it's, yeah,
Is that the correct
it's
term?
how your credit score is. Yeah, I guess divided up.
Yeah, divided up so you
Divided
know
up.
what
Right.
what it consists of.
Right. What are the factors that make up your credit score?
Correct. The
Yeah. What are the
factors.
factors?
He's better talking than I am. My
So
first language is Spanish, people. I'm sorry.
that's a scapegoat right there, man. So like when somebody applies for a credit card, the first thing I tell them is like figure out what it is, like why do you want a credit card for one, right? Like why do
Correct.
you want one? And then secondly, like you pick a credit card that you want to apply for based on like what you want. So let's say for an example, you get a lot of gas
Hmm.
throughout the week, right? So perhaps you might want a, a credit card that has cash rewards or gas rewards whenever you utilize that card. Let's say you like to eat out, right?
Hmm.
There's credit cards that you can utilize specifically for when you go to eat out that you can get rewards points for.
Correct.
Let's say you like to travel a lot, right? You get a travel miles, travel. So whatever it is that you do often and you use your debit card or pay cash for, think of that in terms of like the credit card that you want to get. So that way, when you do make that purchase for gas, you buy that plane ticket for travel or whatever the case might be,
Yeah.
you're getting rewarded from that,
Yeah, you get a
right?
kickback.
Right. You get a kickback. So that's number one, right? Choose a card that you're going to utilize that you can benefit from, not necessarily just going after a heavy hitter name, which is what I feel a lot of people do. It's like,
Correct.
let me go for the Chase, the Bank of America, the American Express, because those are like well known brands. But it's like you really don't know why you're getting that credit card. And if you do get it, and if you go to use it, you're not using it in a way to get rewarded for it. So, in my opinion, every single credit card that you have or that you own should be benefiting you in some way, shape, or form.
So, which cards do you recommend? Not just to mention out like a few of them, not all of them.
It all depends on what you want to do, man.
Because you
You know what
said
I'm
not to
saying?
go like after the big name brand
Right.
ones.
So, like, let's say, for example, you want a cash back. So, let's
Okay.
say you just buy random stuff. Let's say you do another credit card could be for like your grocery shopping,
True.
right?
True.
So, like, if you can get a credit card that gives you rewards for grocery shopping. So, like, if you wanted cash back, let's say you were somebody that every time you spent money, you wanted cash back in return. Like, Capital One's a good card for that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So like you just got to do your due diligence, go through your Chases, your Bank of Americas, your Navy Federals, all of the heavy hitter cards, and just look at what each card has to offer and then how you can benefit from it. So that way you know exactly which card you want to apply
Which
for.
one
Right.
suits you?
So
Correct.
that's number one. Figure out which card you want to get. Right. And then number two would be actually sitting down and filling out the application. Right. So the credit application is going to ask you generic questions: name, date of birth, address, social security number, etc.
Annual income.
Right. Yeah. So now when you're filling out the application, it's like, all right, what do I put down for income? What do I put down for like employment? Right. So there's a couple of things that you got to bear in mind is when you're filling out an application, it's like anything else. A credit card is like anything else that you're applying for. They're looking for stability in job history, right? So you want to be at your job for at least 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you what to put on the application. I'm just giving you the data points, right? So the bank is looking to make sure that you are at your current employer employed for about 3 to 5 years. That shows them that you're stable and that you're able to pay back that debt, right? They don't necessarily, yes, they ask you for income, but that's not going to determine if you get approved or not. That's more so going to determine what your limit is.
Okay.
So there's a threshold when it comes to income. So number one, credit cards are stated income. Okay. So stated income is just what it sounds like. It's stated. They don't require pay stubs.
Proof.
They don't require proof, right? W-2s, etc. Right? It's stated. So you just tell them what it is. And as long as it doesn't
You can make 40K and be like, yeah,
right,
I make $150.
right. Well, so I'm gonna talk about that. So as long as it doesn't draw a flag, so
Okay.
anything above 90,000
Is a red flag.
it's going to draw a red flag because the average American doesn't make that type of money, right? So if you do, that's great because they're going to flag it, they're going to ask for the income, and then you'll be able to provide it. But if you're thinking like I'm going to put a higher income, even though I'm not making that because I want a higher limit, and then they pull your card, then if you can't provide the documentation, they'll deny that application, right? So there's a threshold. I wouldn't go above 90,000 if you're not making that much money. It's all right. Even if you make 40 or 50,000, you can still get approved for a decent limit because if you have a credit profile already built out, credit cards are approved off of comparable limits.
Okay.
Right. So if you have, let's say you have one other credit card on your credit report for $5,000, right? American Express, whatever the case is. Then if you go to Chase is going to run your credit, see that you have an American Express card for 5,000, and they'll give you a comparable limit. They'll give you 5,000, 4,000, somewhere in that realm. Maybe they'll give you 6 or 7,000, but you won't get like a $10 or $15,000 card because you don't have that yet on your profile.
Okay.
Right. So fill out the application, put all your information, make sure your job history is solid, make sure your income is not too excessive. If it's not, you shouldn't be lying anyway, but it's stated income. So now the only other way that you can get away with putting a high limit down is that credit cards will allow you to utilize household income. Right.
Okay.
So a total combined of everybody that lives in your household, right? You, your wife, your sister, your daughter, your uncle, whoever. Anybody that lives in that household, you can put that income down. And again, that's stated income. So do with that what you may. And
do with that what you wish.
right. So, that's another good way to look at these things, right? So a lot of people get intimidated when they're filling out a credit card application because they don't know what to put. I just broke it down to you, so hopefully that provides some clarity and gives you a little bit more confidence when you're filling out the application.
So you would recommend, like you just mentioned, don't go for the big names.
No.
Start
Not
low.
when you're first starting out.
Start low. Start building your credit utilization, your credit history. Start building that relationship, build that rapport with that company, and then shoot for a higher.
Right. So if you have, and again, you can revert back to our prior videos, but if you have zero credit, start off with a secure credit card. Once that secure credit card converts into an unsecured credit card, then I would start with like low tier credit cards. And yes, they come with higher interest rates, but you got to crawl before you walk. So like your credit ones, right? That's considered a low tier credit card. Your skies, those are considered low tier. But you'll get like a $500 to $700 limit, but it's a legit credit card. It's an unsecured credit card. So the more unsecured credit cards you have, every 60 to 90 days, actually, I lied. Every 90 days to 6 months, you can request a credit limit increase. And I suggest that everybody does that, right? Most people, they'll wait for an automatic increase just, to happen organically.
Yeah.
And, you may wait 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years for a credit limit increase, but you can legit wait between 90. So every 3 months to 6 months, you can request a credit limit increases. And most credit cards, depending on which credit card you have, will let you apply for a credit limit increase without a hard inquiry. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? They'll do a soft inquiry.
And that increase actually helps everybody out, every individual, because
Absolutely.
that means that your credit limit goes higher, your utilization goes
Comes
lower.
down. Right.
As long as you use it responsibly. And let me
Correct.
let me let me make
Correct.
that clear.
Correct.
You can have a 5K credit card, request a credit increase. Let's say they give you what, like 8K, they increase it to 8K. So if your credit utilization is at 25%,
Mm,
they'll drop it down to like 15.
right. But see, the caveat is if you're at 25% utilization at that time, don't apply for a credit card. Right.
Oh, okay,
So you
okay,
don't want to apply for an additional credit card if you have more than a 10% utilization.
okay.
Right. So when you have a
Write that down,
10%
guys.
right, that's it. That's a key one right there, because the higher utilization you have on your credit card and you go apply for credit, you're going to get denied, because credit card companies don't want to see that you're overextending yourself,
Okay,
especially if it's over 30%, because 30% is part of the pie chart. Right. So
correct.
like once they see you over 30%, they're like, yeah, nah. But we're gonna go ahead and
Pass.
right, right. Come back again when you're ready. So, it's important to remember that. And then also, one thing that I tell folks, and the older crowd, if you have parents like I do, you have individuals that tell you, get a credit card, only use it for emergencies, cut it up, put it away, forget about it, all this other nonsense. So credit cards are meant to be used. And if there's no activity on the credit card, that account goes dormant and then your score goes down. So, and that's another thing. Like, let's say you have $5,000 limit and you just don't use your credit card for anything at all. You just let it sit and you never utilize it, then there's two things that's going to happen. The account's going to go dormant, your score is going to go down, and then as a result of you not utilizing it, the credit card issuer is going to say, "Why do you need that $5,000 limit?"
You don't need it.
Right? Let me
Yeah.
drop you down to 1,000. So now you lost your limit, and as a result of that, maybe you have high utilization on another card. So now your utilization goes up, score goes down. Right.
Yeah.
So always keep activity on your credit cards. You don't have to max them out. You don't have to, run up a bag, but like put your Netflix, your gym membership, put a
Some sort of
subscription
auto
on it.
pay.
Right.
So
Some
it can have
sort of
movement.
subscription. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And just let that hit every single month. So that way it
Weird
keeps it
analogy,
active.
but it's just like the
Right.
ocean. If there's no waves, there's no movement,
Right.
there's no oxygen.
For,
So you're just
boom.
killing your lifeline with your credit card.
Just like that. Just like
Weird
that.
analogy, but
You know what I mean? And we all need credit, but like we're often told like, credit cards are,
are
a
the devil.
trap and the devil and all this other stuff. And I don't want to say I get that. I got that at one point, but we're out here.
I mean, you could technically understand, but it doesn't make sense. It's not.
I can understand the mind frame behind it, because if you don't know how to utilize a credit card properly, you can fall into the trap. You can fall into debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now you dug yourself into a hole that you can't get out. But that's where financial literacy comes in, where once you learn how to use a credit card, once you know the power in using a credit card, then the floodgates open. Right. And once you understand that you can utilize and leverage other people's money, it's called OPM, to build wealth, to
Mm-hmm.
buy assets, to buy income producing assets, then the whole credit game becomes just a game of Monopoly,
I hear that.
real life Monopoly. So if you get a credit card, just make sure that you put a subscription on it. Always have some activity on it. You know, if you don't have any subscriptions, use it for lunch maybe once or twice a
Just
week.
use it for gas.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Use
saying.
it for
Use it for some
gas.
groceries. Anything that you would pay cash for, right? Your cigarettes, your coffee, whatever. Utilize the credit card for it and just pay it back immediately. You won't have any problems.
I don't use it for cigarettes.
Whoa.
I quit smoking.
Good for you, bro. Good for
Yeah.
you.
I feel.
Let's clap that up. Okay,
I-
let's clap that up on the board, bro.
Give it an applause. Yeah. Yeah,
How
buddy.
long were you smoking for?
Man, since I was 17.
Look at that.
17.
You're 45 now. Shit.
Hell no. Don't reflect yourself on me in that way. And the other way, like,
this guy, man.
wealth wise, reflect yourself
Oh,
on
for
me.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That's what I do, bro. That's what I do. But so that's pretty much it, man. Like when you're applying for a credit card, it could be overwhelming for your first time, but you know,
I think
outside of that,
it's scary. I mean, once you see that approval, once you apply for it online, you see that approval, you're like, I got the bag.
all right.
People, don't go crazy. Don't do what I did. Don't go crazy. Before Danny and I became friends, man, my credit was trash. But it's because I went crazy. I saw that bag approval, 3K here, 5K here. I started running up those cards. And then when it came back to making the payments, I was like, I was drowning. I was like, damn, I'm just gonna let this slide, pay this one, and then that keeps adding up. And then your payment history goes down, your credit goes down. Yeah, no.
And then you end up with collections and all that
Don't
other
go
stuff,
crazy.
right?
Once you see the approval, use it wisely.
And it's hard, right? Because if you've never had any real money, then once you come across that money, the first inclination you have is to spend it.
Correct.
Right. So like you come across $10,000, like
And
your
it's
eyes
OPM.
open up.
It's OPM.
Right. You're like, hold on, let me go get those Jordans, let me get that wallet, because you want to show people online, social media, whoever, that you have some type of money.
And that's the problem nowadays.
Oh,
Everything is you got to be flashy. You got to put this front on social media and probably get go get your cash advance from your card and just post it. Oh, look, I got all this bread, waving it like a fan. No, that's ignorance. That's ignorance.
It's
in
ignorance
my
to
eyes.
the highest
If you
level.
guys do that, that's on you.
But
do you?
You know what it is that you have a lot of influencers, you have a lot of public figures that polarize cash. Like for an
That is
example,
true.
you have those, your favorite rapper that walks around with wads of cash, and they even know. And this is the thing, because a lot of these rappers are on, like, they have interviews where they were asked what are some of the mistakes that they've made throughout their life or whatever, or throughout their career, and a lot of it was like paying for cash for everything, not building credit, I try to buy my house. Like, you got to understand, if you have zero credit, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're not buying a house. Nobody's giving you money to do anything if you don't have established credit, bro.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work that way. So everybody that's throwing cash around, it's an illusion, because that's what popular culture wants. But the real game that they know is like, all right, yeah, I'm being flashy with this cash, but my credit's right. They're not talking about that.
Yeah.
They're not flashing credit cards. That's not cool.
I think it was J. Cole. I saw an interview with J. Cole, and he was talking about how ignorant he was. As soon as he got his when he got signed, that bonus, he went crazy.
Yeah, well, all the rappers do, bro.
I think I'm not
All the
sure if it
rappers.
was J. Cole, but I know J. Cole is one of the rappers or the hip hop artists that it's not flashy, bro.
Nope.
You see him in jeans,
Yep.
a regular white tee.
I think he's riding a bike or something like that.
Yeah,
He rides a bike most of the time.
yeah. Let's go even higher. Look at Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yeah.
You see him in the subway in New York.
Yep. Yep.
and
Despite all the millions of dollars that he has,
and he donates. I think it's 50%
right?
to a cancer research
Because his
center or
sister
something.
died or something like
Because
that
his
from it.
sister was
Yeah, yeah,
diagnosed, and I think he lost his
yeah.
sister. So 50% of his wealth goes to that organization that helped out his sister.
You know what's crazy is that you know who keeps Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and all those people in business? Poor people.
Yeah,
Middle class to poor people.
yeah.
Rich people do not keep them fucking, excuse my language. Rich people do not keep them in business.
It's okay. This is not.
Rich people do not keep, these brands in business. And the problem is that broke people want to look rich and rich people look poor, right? So if you look at, you know, Mark Zuckerberg,
Mhm.
right? Multi-billionaire, all he wears is
Jean and a white
jeans
T-shirt.
and a white t-shirt. And he says, and his ideology behind it is fascinating, right? So he says he was in an interview and they asked him, why do you always have a t-shirt and jeans on? And he said that in his closet, all he has is like, let's say 10 white t-shirts, 10 jeans. And the reason why is because when you first get up in the morning, your creativity level is at its highest peak, and he doesn't want to waste a decision, the energy of picking what he has to wear for that day. So he
Ah,
just grabs it and goes, and then he leaves that energy for like stuff that actually matters in his business. So like rich people, they don't care about looking rich, bro. Like you'll never see a real wealthy person. They're not wearing all this designer nonsense. Like look at Warren Buffett, like, Bill Gates. You know what I'm saying? Like none of these heavy hitters are out here wearing designer stuff.
just like
It's only for the poor.
Jeff Bezos we talked about in one
Yeah,
of the episodes
right,
about
right,
his
yeah,
Honda Accord.
yeah. 2019 on the record, he had like a $9 billion net worth or something like that.
I don't think it was 2019. It was an old one because I actually saw the
Oh,
actual
okay,
video.
okay,
It
maybe it
was
was.
a
It was some,
1995 or
oh,
97 one.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I had
yeah,
one.
yeah.
I had a 95.
Oh, okay. So it was an old car, a
Yeah, yeah,
$9
yeah,
billion. Like you're driving a Honda Accord, you know what I'm saying? That says a lot, man.
yeah.
So, and I'll stop with this. Well, I'll leave you with this. I challenge everybody, right? If wherever you're at, wherever you live, find an affluent neighborhood, a rich neighborhood, right? A wealthy neighborhood. All the cities have them,
Yep.
and drive through and look in the driveways, right? And you're going to see that in all of these rich people's driveways, there's Hondas, there's Volkswagens, there's no Ferraris, there's no Lamborghinis, none of that. And once you realize that like, okay, I went to Publix today and I seen somebody walk and get into a Trailblazer, that person is pulling up to a $3 or $4 million house because they don't care about the vehicle that they drive because they rather put their money into something else because they're not trying to please anybody.
Correct.
Right? So most rich people, you cannot tell that they're rich or wealthy.
That doesn't go to say they don't have a toy,
Right.
especially
Of
if
course.
it's a guy.
Right. Of course.
Clearly, you guys can see.
Of course. Of
Clearly, you
course.
guys can see.
But they're not flashy with it. They're not flashy with
Correct.
it. They're
Correct.
not flashy with it.
But speaking about that, you already told him how to get a credit card. How about telling him how to get a car like this?
That'll be the next episode.
In the next
The next
episode,
episode, bro.
ah,
What's the time? We got time?
yeah, we got plenty. We got plenty.
Really?
Yeah,
What time we got, bro?
we got 10 minutes.
Oh.
Speaking of that, you already told them how to get a credit card, how to apply for it, the do's and don'ts. We haven't spoken about how to get one of these cards because that's his toy, and he's holding back on you guys.
Oh man,
I'm putting him on the spot right now.
we could talk about that real quick. So, those of you out there that are looking to get into an exotic car for whatever, if you're a car guy, if you're passionate about cars, there's a couple things you got to realize when you go from one car to the next is you have to build what's called your car credit.
Okay.
Right? So car credit is how many cars have you had in your personal name and what are the amounts that you finance on those cars, right? So like if you don't have your car credit built up, let's say the highest auto loan that you have on your credit is 20,000, they're not going to let you go and get $100,000 car. You haven't showed that you're able to sustain that amount yet.
Okay.
Right. So if they trust you with 20, so my thing is, if you're looking to, I call it leapfrog. If you're looking to leapfrog through cars to get into that dream car ASAP, if you are making a good amount of money is about 100,000 or more every year in terms of salary. You can buy a $20,000 car, right? When you don't have any credit at all, the most you're gonna get approved for, depending on how much you have for down payment, it's like 20,000. So you get into the 20,000, you keep that for 6 months, you make on-time payments. Then you jump, they'll let you go 30 to 40% more of that 20,000.
Okay.
So let's say you go from 20 to 35, right? 35 to 50, 50 to 65. So
Gotcha.
every 6 months, they'll literally let you trade your vehicle in. The bank just wants to see a minimum of 6 months of on-time payments for your car before they let you leapfrog into another one, right? So if you can afford a vehicle, then you shouldn't have any problem leapfrogging through these cars to build your car credit to show that you're able to sustain these amounts of money, the payment, excuse me, over a specific amount of time. And once you get to like $100,000, there's called creative financing. So
Okay.
you have credit unions like Woodside Credit is one of them. You have VA Leasing, that's another one. These companies specifically, or these lenders specifically, deal with exotic cars only at a minimum of $100,000 or more, right? Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, Ferrari, etc. And the beautiful thing about this creative financing, if you will, is that it comes with an extended term. So on average, people are getting their auto loans for 5 years, right? Which $100,000 loan at 5 years, that drives your payment up because of the 5 year term, right?
Correct.
Depending on your down payment. So it's probably around, depending on interest, like $2,000, right? $100,000 car for 5 years is about $2,000. Now, if you take that same 100,000 and you spread it over a 10-year term, now you've dropped that payment significantly. So now that $2,000 payment is
Becomes
now
$1,000.
now it's 1,000, now it's 900, whatever the case is, right? So now it's more affordable. And you're not gonna, and I don't say you're not, it depends on how you are, but I've never stayed in a car for that long. I always, every single year, go into a different car.
This is the longest you have.
This is the my Ferrari was.
Ferrari
My
was,
Ferrari
okay.
was. Yeah. This
That's true.
is knocking on the door. So, build your car credit first, right? Your credit score, it matters, but it don't matter. You can get into, and again, it depends on the down payment. Typically 10%, 20% down, again, depending on your credit. But I would say at minimum 700, at minimum 700. Anything below 700 credit score, you're going to pay more in interest, more in down payment. So that's like hustling backwards. If you're at 750, that's a sweet spot. 750 is where you get no money down. They roll out the red carpet. They want to, you can drive off the lot the same day. So build your car credit. Credit score between 7 to 750. What else?
I can't imagine what an 850 will get you.
850 doesn't. 850 and 750 is no difference, man.
There's no difference.
There's no difference, bro. And I made a video about that, talking about that.
Okay.
It's extremely hard to get an 850. It's gonna take you 20 plus years to get an 850, and you need to have a loan in your name, specifically a mortgage, for at least 20 years. So like, because that draws your average age up. So getting an 850 is extremely difficult, bro. And I don't see anybody going for an 850 unless you're trying to have bragging rights or give yourself a buffer in case something happens. If you're at an 850 and let's say you make a late payment, you go down to like an 800. But outside of that, if you have a 750, you're gonna get the same
So
purchase as
750
850.
is
750 is a sweet spot, bro.
Gotcha.
That means you can walk in a car dealership, no money down, depending on your profile and other factors, and you'll be good.
Yeah, I'll get that tomorrow.
And you'll be good. Yeah. And you'll be good.
My 750 is gonna come.
So it's not hard. It's not hard. Most people think like, oh, well, that's an exotic. So most people think like, oh, that's an exotic. It's expensive. I can't afford it. The insurance is probably through the roof. The maintenance is through the roof. So like all of these things you debunk once you become an exotic car owner, right?
Gotcha.
So insurance is not that much money. It's predicated on your driving profile. If you got a decent driving profile, again, just like the creative financing, they have creative insurance options. So the insurance is not that much. The payment is manageable, right? Once you get to a certain amount, 100,000 or more, you can spread it out over a longer period of time. Maintenance. So the average exotic is driven between 3,500 to 5,000 miles for the year. The average exotic. So if you pay, let's say, $600 for an oil change, which is crazy, but I'm just using that as an excessive number, right?
Okay.
If
I
I'm
was about
using,
to say.
yeah, but even if we use 600 for an oil change, that oil change, because of the type of oil that you're getting, is good for like 10,000 miles.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? You're not driving an exotic car 10,000 miles a year. You're driving it between 35 to 5,000. So now you know, like, all right, I paid this 600, but I don't have to get it for the rest of the year. So if you take that $600 and you divide it up into 12 months, it's chips, it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing with everything else, with the maintenance on the car, bro. Like you don't have to worry about, unless you're daily driving it and putting a boatload of miles on it. Those things really don't matter. And then you can get warranties to cover, maintenance work, etc. But owning an exotic, it's not what people think, man. And then for most times, you could, if you get the right car, right year, right miles, you could drive that car for a year and then sell it, make a profit. So now you've driven the car for free for that year, and it's paid you to drive it. You know what I'm saying? So those you just got to be strategic on when you get to the exotic level on what cars you desire, and then learning which ones keep their value, which ones depreciate, and which ones hold their value, which ones are highly desirable. So like if you buy a car that's highly desirable, let's say like for example the Scat Pack, they're not making anymore. That's going to be a highly desirable car.
Yeah, so it's not a depreciating value
Right.
at the time being
Somebody will pay a premium for that.
because it's not being
Right.
made no more. Yeah.
So when you find your niche in your cars like that, then you know what I'm saying, you'll be in good shape. Like you'll actually be
Just
paid to
like
drive.
the 99 Nissan Skyline. That's my dream car. But they're at last one I thought I saw I think it was 134,000 in mint conditions.
Wow.
I mean, it had a little details here and there, but like if you find one like a collector's item one, they're going for 2K, 3K, and it's a 1999 car. But it's because they're not being made no more.
Right.
It increases value.
A good example of that is like the old school NSXs.
Yeah.
Those are going for big money.
Yeah.
And people are paying the big money just like the Supras.
Yeah.
People are paying big money for the Supras.
Yeah,
because,
100,
you know
90,
what I mean? Like
90K, 95K.
so if you get the right car that's desirable, that they don't make no more, like if you bought a Supra, let's say you bought a Supra 10 years ago. You drove it, enjoyed it,
Garage kept,
you flipped it, you made 20,000 off of it. So you owned it, you were paid 20,000 and you owned the car for free. Like you didn't, you know what I'm saying? Because you made 20,000 on the sale.
Yep.
So, like you just gotta be strategic when it comes to the exotic car.
I remember when they came out, they were like, I think it was like 4,500. I mean, 45,000. Like in 1998.
A long time ago, yeah. That was those never been my thing. They were never on my radar, so I wouldn't know.
I'm more a car guy than he is.
He's more of a Euro guy than I am.
No, it's JDM.
Or JDM, excuse me.
Yeah, that's Euro.
JDM, yeah. European for sure.
Yeah. I'm a Tesla guy now.
European for sure.
I love my Tesla. I love my Tesla, bro.
Making Elon money.
No oil changes there, Papa. Only tires. That's it.
Save on oil changes, save on gas.
Save on gas.
Saving, bro.
And I was reading up on the manual, like the brakes, you don't change brake pads that often either, because it has that regenerative braking system.
Oh yeah, when you let your foot off the gas. We was just talking about that.
Yeah.
Man, something
So
I don't.
brake pads on that, even though it has big brake kits, like it has like big Brembo ones
Mm,
with the Tesla branding, but you don't swap out pads like you normally do on a regular petrol engine or gas engine. I said petrol, like if we we were in UK,
right, right.
petrol engine.
And do they have that? I think they have petrol in Puerto Rico, right? No. Where, oh no 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 no.
No, no,
Where
no.
where was I? No, Puerto Rico has the fuel by like is it liter?
By liter.
By liter.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Here is by gallons and Puerto Rico's by
Okay,
liter.
yeah, that's what it was then.
That's why when you see the prices, you're like, oh my God, gas is cheap down here. Nah. Add up the liters up to a gallon, it's the same
Right.
price.
So they get you. So we digress, my beautiful people.
Yes,
If
we
you,
did a little bit.
I hope that you got some value from the how to apply for a credit card. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, especially if you're new. When you sit down, you may not know what to put down in the application. I hope I walked that through. I walk through with you exactly what to put down, how to put down, what not to put down, so you don't get flagged and get the highest approvals. And then the caveat, if you were wondering how to own one of these bad boys, I just gave you a brief explanation
I'll
on how
put
to
him
do
on the
that.
spot.
My guy over here put me on the spot. So I hope that gave you some insight, but we can definitely make a full in-depth video on breaking down payments, what my payment is on here, insurance, etc. I don't mind using my own, my own toy as a reference. So with that being said, stay tuned to the future videos that we have coming for our credit series, where we're going to break down credit, how you can leverage credit, how you can utilize business credit, etc., to build wealth for you and your family. And yeah, man, like it's going to be a good year.
I got good updates on my business credit. I'm stoked about it. I'm like,
Ah.
yeah,
Well,
Bobby.
we can talk about that. We can
Yes,
talk about
sir.
that.
Yes,
We can talk
indeed.
about that.
Yes, indeed.
You know.
This very special tool that you put me onto it.
Mm.
So we'll talk about that in the next episode. But yeah, I'm
For
excited.
sure.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Well, you heard it from the man himself. He is excited. So we'll dive deep into that in one of our upcoming episodes. But until the next time, my beautiful people, stay strong, stay beautiful.
Peace out.